Hey everybody, welcome to the Dog Owners Podcast. My name is Vinnie, that is Brent, and we are very excited today to have a special guest, Angela Adan. Angela is a dog rescuer, and we're going to ask her a lot of questions about dogs in the rescue world. If you want to adopt a new dog, what are some things that we should look out for? And all questions rescue. Let's get started.
Welcome back, guys, for another episode of the Dog Owners Podcast. As Vinny mentioned, we have our special guest and a friend of ours. Her name is Angela Adan. I'm going to have her tell us a lot about her story, but the way I met her, I got a chance to meet her at my property. We were doing a seminar with J-Jack, and you were here with a crew of people, and you just had such a wonderful spirit, and it's so funny. The more people I talked to throughout that last year, they were like, Angela, do you know Angela? Do you know Angela? And I was like, I think I met Angela. And what's so cool is I had a really good chance to just kind of get to have a bit more conversations with you at another seminar that we had here at my property. And just get to kick it with the people from Oregon Tales. Yeah. And it was great. It was cool to get to know you. And, over the last year, we've chatted a little bit and been able to bounce dog ideas back and forth. And I've been a dog trainer for 18 years. I've worked with a lot of rescue organizations, and it's very rare that I come across a person who's grounded, who's super intelligent, who's hardworking. They put their money where their mouth is, and they walk the walk and they talk the talk. So when we were thinking about like who's a good person we can talk to about animal rescue, my brain was like, my friend Angela. So with no further ado, Angela, welcome to the Dog Owners Podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Super excited to be here and talk about rescue, because rescue is my life. My life is dedicated to dog rescue, and I really don't foresee myself stopping doing this anytime soon.
Yeah, can't stop. You can't stop. There's so many dogs that need help. I guess let's start the interview. For people who don't know who you are, you mind telling us, and start as far back as comfortable as you are going back?
When I was 6 years old, I used to walk around the house saying I want to be a vegetarian, but really I meant I want to be a veterinarian. Which is funny because I'm vegan now. I rescue animals, and I'm I should be vegan. And so from a really young age, that was my goal, was to go to vet school and do all of that. And I'm just not the greatest at reading a textbook and learning from that. I was very hands-on. When I was 14 years old, I got my first job working at a vet hospital. And I stayed there for 8.5 years at that one specific vet hospital. And then I moved to Santa Barbara. And I learned how many dogs were dying in shelters. And at first it was this one Facebook post, and it was Peggy Sue's gonna die tomorrow. And it was this little dachshund chihuahua with deformed legs. And I'm like, oh my God, Peggy Sue, I'll go help her. So I drove to an LA shelter and I picked her up, and they're like, oh, Muffin's also gonna die. And I was like, I'll take Muffin too, I just thought it was those two. I had no idea. And then I was getting tagged in everything, because it was oh, this girl's new, she can maybe help, and it was overwhelming. I was like, oh my God, there are so many dogs dying in shelters. And I had absolutely no idea until that first experience with it. And then I actually started my own rescue, and I was 22 at the time. I was pretty young.
Damn.
And started the rescue. And within a year, I won nonprofit of the year in Santa Barbara. It exploded into this big thing. I started working at no-kill shelters, and I was still a vet tech in the no-kill shelter. So we had a vet program where rescues could come in and bring their dogs at low cost, which was amazing. I wish that was still happening. But yeah, it was really cool. And I just dog rescue, the whole going to vet school was off the table, changed my mind. And it was just all dog rescue. So it was a lot.
Angela, I think it's incredible that you started this rescue at 22 years old, right? And it should be kind of eye-opening, because there's a lot of people who are probably sitting in a chair going, I wish I could help. I don't know any of your story, right? I am as excited as all of the potential viewers that are going to watch this story, because I'm excited to learn more about you and the world that you live in. But just hearing that, hey, 22, I'm going to do it. So fuck it. I'm just going to get started. That's incredible, dude. That's
Definitely.
awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, I was just like this like shy kid and like it was hard for me to like connect with people, but I always just loved being around animals. And then I remember I worked with this guy who he would do pack walking, and I had all these dogs living with me, and like none of them got along in the beginning, and I didn't really know a lot about it, but he came over and he would work with the dogs, and then we put all 10 of them together in a pack, and these were all dogs who like couldn't be around other dogs. And I remember I walked that pack that one day and I was like, "Oh my God, I feel like so much more of a confident human being." I'm like, "Look at me, like look what I'm doing." It was like crazy in my head. And it just gave me so much confidence and like helped me as a human being. And ever since then, I was like, I have to give back to as many dogs as I can. Like they changed my life. They've given me such amazing opportunities in my life too. And I'm just like, I'm very fulfilled. Like whoever I can help, I want to help like people and dogs.
It's amazing. And the cool thing doing podcasts is you meet people. Like I was like, I don't know why I like Angela. Don't know. I don't really know her that well. But the more that you get that vibe and that instinct of like, this person's a good people, it's because we all kind of have similar background stories in some way, shape, or form, and the passion was fired up in the same way. So that's really cool. I don't want to talk about our stories. That's a different episode. But it just made me love you a lot more. That's really cool.
Thank you.
So, okay, so you're 22, you started this rescue. Is it the same rescue you have today?
No, it's a different one now.
Different rescue now. Now,
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about your journey from rescue as you're getting older, as you're developing. I know at some point you started picking up a knack for dog training and doing behavior stuff. Talk to us about that, how that developed.
Yeah, so I worked at a no-kill shelter in Santa Barbara, and with a no-kill shelter, the dogs are sitting for very long periods of time and for years, because they will not euthanize for behavioral issues. And I was like, wow, there's a lot of really intense dogs here. And like, why are they this way? How do we help them? Like, why have they bitten so many people? It's like, how do we help these dogs to move forward? And I saw there was like an advertisement. I think it was on Facebook again. Damn Facebook, like really, like, really promotes a lot of things you sign up for. And it was like a training Caesar's Way event. And I was like, wow, I watched this guy on TV when I was young. Like, I want to go, I want to learn. So I went, and a lot of people brought their dogs with behavioral issues. And I was like, I just want to go and learn. I am going to bring a dog. But I brought Ferris, who's my Jack Russell Terrier. He has spina bifida and he's in a wheelchair. And he's the absolute happiest dog you will ever meet. He's
Awesome.
the coolest dog. And my mentality with him, I was like, he can do anything all these other dogs are doing. Like he's such a cool dog. I still have him to this day. And so I brought Ferris, and everyone was like, wow, never seen a dog in a wheelchair. And I was like, oh, everyone's doing sheep herding. Like, let's get my little guy out there too. And he like chased the sheep around in his wheelchair, And it was just such like a fun, yeah, it was amazing. And it was just like a really fun experience. I was like, oh, everyone's doing agility. All right, let me help him up over the ramp, and like do all these fun things with him. And I think I just stood out to people there probably because of him, and I got invited back as a volunteer, and then I worked there for like 8.5 years.
No way.
At DPC.
Yeah,
the
with
Dog
Caesar.
Psychology Center. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Wow.
Yeah, so my role, I like moved up. I was, just kind of helping at first, and then my role eventually became I would manage the kennels, and then what I would do is when he had students come in, we would have groups of dogs from shelters come in, and they had to be a pretty specific temperament and, like not a lot of liability to be around, things like that. But we wanted like just enough challenge so people could actually learn from them. So it was my job to go out and scout all these dogs, and I had to find like 30 to 35 dogs who could match that description. And I just became really good at like watching. I can watch like a couple seconds of a video and be like, those 4, they can come, and like got really good at like evaluating dogs through videos and stuff. So that was kind of my specialty there. And yeah.
That is such a cool task to be tasked with, because it's like, you have to learn to look at all the nonverbal communication, and you have to learn how to read temperaments and energies and compatibilities and all this stuff. And it's kind of cool because this is foreshadowing for the stuff you're going to be doing later in
Right.
life, which is
Yeah.
really cool. It's
Yeah.
like your superpower developing.
Yeah. And a
Right.
lot of practice doing it because it was a lot of pressure. I mean, you have Caesar and you're choosing the dogs that are running the whole program. Like, and I was always like behind the scenes too. So I'm like, yeah, let me like do all my work behind the scenes and kind of get to the event and be like, okay, what do you guys need? Like the trainers would be like, we want this type of dog for this activity. And I'd be like, little Fluffy over there would be it's like you just start to like kind of get into it. And I did it for a long time. So
That's
yeah,
really cool.
yeah.
I remember a couple years ago you were doing a show, weren't you?
Yeah, I was on his show too, Better Human, Better Dog. So he did like matchmaking. So families would come in and say, this is the type of dog I want. I would interview them and I would go out and find dogs who like actually match their lifestyle, their energy, their skill level. And then I'm like, okay, you basically would choose between these three dogs that would be on the show. Caesar would like choose the best match at the end. It was cool.
That's
That's pretty
amazing.
neat.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a service in itself. That should be that should be something that every dog trainer has the skill to do, right? Like Brent, I think we've even
Yeah,
talked about having a service of like, before you get your next dog, why don't you call me so I can help you find the perfect dog that is for you? Because Angela, you probably see this all the time, but I view owners getting their new dog just like Tinder, right? So it's like, "Oh, that dog looks cute, so let me bring that dog to my house." And then it's like Mentos and Coke, right? Like, and it's
Yeah.
there has to be a drastic change one way or the other where the human is willing to change their lifestyle so drastically that it conforms to that style of dog, or the dog just ends back up at the shelter, which happens all the time.
Too often.
Yeah,
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 and I think that's a really that cultural norm of like, we pick dogs based on looks and how cute they are. It's like when you go looks first, like that's a slippery slope with people, and that's a slippery slope with dogs, because looks aren't everything,
Yeah.
right? And I wish that there was a training program for professional dog trainers to be good matchmakers, because like I think I could figure it out, but like someone like you who has like so much experience doing this, like if there was a workshop or a class I could sign up for, I'm there, man. I'm totally there. I'm signing up.
I'll start one.
You
there you
should,
go.
Yeah.
and I would love, and I'd love to, I'll film it for free for you. And then,
Nice.
yeah. But no, that's great, because I think, I guess kind of going into that, right? Like when we talk about dog rescue and we talk about, culturally, what I've seen is I saw, like, when I first started, it was right at the adopt don't shop, the beginning of the adopt don't shop type of vibe, right? So it was like, I mean, early 2000s kind of, right? There was like this big boom. Um, and, I was the same. Like I started at the shelters. I became a dog trainer because of what I was seeing at the shelters, and, helping rescue dogs, and being a young adolescent who I found purpose in working with these dogs and helping them stay in homes and finding them homes. It was really powerful for my development. Made me feel effective. But we also see a lot of things that go wrong in picking dogs, people surrendering dogs for not good reasons. Could you talk to us a little bit about, in your experience, what have you seen, I guess, um, for dog owners? What have you seen that is kind of misleading in the rescue ideology, or not ideology, but the concept of rescue?
I think the biggest thing right now is rescues are so overwhelmed. They're almost like desperate to give any dog, like if they have a little bit of interest from an adopter to be like, I'll take that dog. The rescue is immediately trying to move the dog because we just have so many, and that's really dangerous. Like I've seen just dogs go into situations, and it's even dogs that I know where I'm telling the rescues, like, this is not a good match. And then the dog ends up biting somebody, and it's like, okay, like you can see the patterns ahead of time, it's like rescue should not give dogs who are higher energy than the humans to people. I see that a lot. A lot of rescues will take really high energy dogs, and they're great for some people, but not most people, you know? And it's like the rescue should be focusing on, in my opinion, lower energy, medium energy dogs, the super easy ones, not the ones who have these like big sad stories who are going to get the social media views and likes. And I feel like a lot of people, it's like the urgency is there in the beginning because it's like, oh my God, look at this sad video. And then everybody wants to help. And then that dog gets out and then there's zero help for it. And it's like, hey, where does that dog end up? You know, like it's
I
just.
have I have two questions on that line of thought, okay, Angela, and I don't mean to offend, okay? And the reason I say that is not only not do I mean not to offend you, but also anybody listening to this, because from from where I sit, which is in a different position, the two things that I notice often are one, there tends to be a lot of money spent in rescue on dogs that, in my eyes, is their behavior is detrimental to almost all humans on the planet. And my question for you is, what do we do? What do we do with those dogs? Like you mentioned before, you were at this no-kill shelter with dogs who were there for years, right? Years. And some of those dogs at the local shelters that I work at, their behavior is so detrimental that they're almost in an insane asylum, right? Because they can't be handled. They can't meet new people. They can't do a lot of things. What do we do with those dogs? Like, what is the answer?
We're so overpopulated right now, and there's so many good, easy dogs in shelters. I feel like those ones should get out first. And then sadly, I mean, we have to euthanize dogs either way because there's just so many of them. So it's like the dogs who are like just not even happy in their own skin, like, why would you like keep prolonging that, you know? And I know it's kind of hard to talk about, it's controversial, like euthanizing perfectly healthy dogs, but it's like dogs have to be euthanized. In California where I am, there's too many, there's not enough homes. So it's like, let's choose maybe the dogs who are just not happy in life because they don't have the fulfillment. Like, how do we find those adopters? They're very rare, you know, the adopters where you're talking about, like, let me adopt this dog. Okay, maybe it wasn't the right match, but now I'm going to change my lifestyle for the dog to actually like provide what it needs. And it's very rare to find adopters like that.
100%. And I agree with you. This is an awful conversation. I don't enjoy it, but I think it's something that's kind of pushed to the wayside and not talked about just because it's uncomfortable. And that doesn't make sense to me. It's like, no, you know what? I'm going to have to, unfortunately, we have to have these conversations. And I agree with you. Like, there are some dogs who, at the end of the day, there are going to be a lot of dogs euthanized. Okay. And
Millions every year.
it's awful.
Yeah.
And we can spend time talking about what are good solutions, which I think at the end of this we should talk about, or at some point we should talk
At the
about.
end, yeah.
But I don't think enough people really understand how many dogs there are with extreme behavioral issues that we are spending droves of money on, where there are all of these dogs and that are happy-go-lucky that just need a home. And unfortunately, keeping this one dog alive may potentially.
Kill three dogs. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. You know, there were so many in my career seeing it. You know, we've seen trying to have spay and neuter clinics, right? We saw that was an attempt. We saw, animal rescue happening on small and large scale. And, one of my mentalities that I had when I was younger, I was like, if rescues do their job, there will be less and less rescues every year. Right? If like rescues will go out of business eventually if we do our job right? The spay and neuter, education, all that stuff. But we're stating that there's a brand new dog rescue every year, and there's more every year, right? And part of me sees culture, right? Like culture, like right now people get married thinking like, man, I could probably get divorced. You know what I mean? So when people get a dog, they are like, if it doesn't work out, I'll just get rid of him, right? Versus it used to be a lifetime commitment. Like if you're my dog, it's cool. Like you're gonna stay with the family, even if it's in the backyard. You know what I mean? Did you see those kind of coming up in your career? Like, did you see those things? And do you agree that they didn't work? Right. But what's your opinion on that stuff?
I mean, rescue is the worst it's ever been right now. Like, we are in a crisis, and I don't think people understand that. And we cannot save them all. I know people want to. And you just kind of look at like how our technology develops, and it's like everyone is so used to like getting something right now, and it's like you don't have to put in a lot of work anymore. So I think that's really changed the culture and like our dedication to dogs. When I first started rescue, there was a huge like shaming culture of like, once you get a dog, you better keep that dog. And it's like, what if it's not the right match for you? And you get a dog and now it's like really dangerous with you, or like you're not enjoying it, the dog's not enjoying you. It's like you shouldn't be shamed for actually putting in the effort to go find a right home for it. There's like a huge like cancel culture, and it's like, you almost have to like tiptoe around like what we say, so that, because like I don't really like having all the attention on social media on me, because like it's like when something happens, it makes me feel really uncomfortable. Like if I'm getting like negativity or something, and it's like, okay, let me just maybe not talk about that, but I don't know. There's just like a huge like cancel culture. You get shamed if you do the wrong thing. It's like people are just so quick to like
Judge.
jump on that. Yeah.
Hmm.
That is a vicious double-edged sword, right? What I mean is there are a lot of scenarios where the dog is not in the right home and the human is putting in the most effort to say, hey, I'm going to try to train this dog. I'm going to try to work with this dog. And at the same time, I'm also going to try to find a home that could be better off for the dog. And then at the same end of that sword is, hey, this isn't working. I'm done. Right. So it's like, yeah, there are a lot. And I want to make sure that people hearing this, you may have been in a time in your life where you had a dog that wasn't right for you. I have no hard feelings about somebody saying, I'm going to try my best to give this dog the best life possible until I can find that forever home. Because you shouldn't feel shame for that.
Yeah.
There is no shame in that. But there is shame in going, I tried this 4 times. It didn't work. I'm done. And it's like, well, wait, this shit's hard, right? We're talking about a living being inside of our home. It's hard. Dude, you can have the best dog in the world. It still sucks some days, right? It really is a part-time job or a full-time job. And you have to be prepared for that. But that's a great point by you, Angela.
It's also hard too, because the people who are like, where do I start even? Like, what do I do? I got this dog. Now I'm struggling with the dog. There's so much stuff out there that you can look up, and so much of it is so bad. It's like, be very careful what advice you're taking. If it doesn't feel good to you, like, don't try it with your dog, but it's just like, it's so hard because it's like, who's good, who's not, who's putting out like advice and content who like we can actually learn from, who's out there just trying to like make money. It's like hard. How do you choose? It's a weird thing out there. There's just so much information.
Yeah, and it's super confusing, and like it creates like a cultural dissidence, like a cognitive dissonance for people. like I've seen clients who, they'll get a behavior case from the rescue. It's 6 months old, and they have the dog till it's 12, right? And it passes away naturally. But then they have dog owner fatigue. They're just like, I'm not going to have a dog for like another 5 years, bro. You know what I mean? Because the experience of having a dog was kind of poisoned, right? Like instead of it being like this joyful, loving experience where maybe I have one, maybe I have two, maybe I have 3 dogs and we have a little family, it's kind of turned into that was a traumatic relationship. You know what I mean? And they did everything in their power, and they did it because they had, fortitude and grit and good character because they loved this dog, but they're burned out.
You know, it shouldn't be that way, because rescues should know enough about behavior, enough about their dogs, enough about the adopters coming that they can properly match up, who's going to do well with each other. Like, it should be an enjoyable experience. And that's one of the reasons why I started a rescue on my own, because I'm like, these rescues are sometimes choosing dogs that, like, I don't agree with it going into that home. And, like, I'm fostering the dog or have it here. And I'm like, I don't know, guys. And, it creates like a bad feeling for me because I'm like, it's not going to work out. And you kind of have to go with it because they're not your dog. So I'm like, let me just do my own rescue. And then I can start to like provide education for people too on like, not that I'm saying like I'm right, they're wrong or anything, but I just think there's a better way that we can be doing this that's not giving people those experiences and they're adopting a dog and they're like, wow, this is a perfect match for me. This is a really enjoyable relationship on both sides.
Well, let me ask you about that, Angela. Let's say I'm an adopter and I come to you, or vice versa. I'm an adopter looking somewhere else. What advice would you give me as an adopter, a potential adopter looking for a dog from a rescue? Is there certain questions I should ask? Are there certain things that I should do? Lead me down the right path here.
Yeah, so the questions like typically ask are like, let's get all the surface stuff out of the way, like what size, what breed, what age, and are you looking for a male or female? It's like those are very like surface level things. Like, okay, I have that down. Now let me ask you a little bit more. Like, how much do you exercise on your own without a dog? Is it zero? Well, you should probably choose a lower energy dog. Are you out like training for marathons? Great, we can match you up with a lot different dogs than we could the person who just likes to chill and watch TV, It's like, let's like match your energy level. A lot of people I think will just choose dogs as like, oh, this one's so cute, but it's like, let me really go in depth and tell you about its behavior and what I'm experiencing. And also let me kind of give you information into the future of what could potentially happen with this dog if you nurture this with it. This is going to be like the pattern of the dog, So it's like, are you going to provide what it needs and it'll continue on the path it's on, which is good and growing and becoming more calm and independent or whatever it needs? Or are you going to be the one who's, letting Fluffy sleep in bed with you day one, and now you've just created a ton of separation anxiety because that's where that dog was going to end up? So I think we absolutely should not choose dogs based off of the way they look, but energy level, temperament. Is it like going nuts in the shelter already? And I know people are like, once the dogs get out of the shelter, they're different. But it's like, okay, but also let's take note of how it is reacting in the shelter with a lot of stress, because that stress could be happening in the home just in a different way. It's not like in a kennel with strangers walking by anymore, but this dog reacts negatively to stress. So let's kind of like take note of that. And I was a big advocate for like, yeah, once you get the dogs out, they're fine, but it's like, are they? Like, we should really see how they react under pressure. And when you can find the dogs that are just like, wiggly and happy go lucky and like just happy with like all this chaos going around, those are the dogs that we should be taking out and like helping more, I think.
No, I agree, man. Anything else? Anything else
I
that
would
you
say
wanted to
like
add?
energy, meaning like energy level, right? Low, medium, high, very high. Like, really take note of the energy level of the dog. And then also, you're choosing like, do I want like a front, middle, or back of the pack, if people want to call it that? Or like, am I equipped for an insecure dog? Am I equipped for a very confident dog? There's just like so many different layers to look at. And I think that's what people need to be sitting down with their family and being like, okay, what type of, temperament do we think we'll do best with? And, like talking about that versus being like, I want a Rottweiler. It's like, okay, what kind of Rottweiler do you want? Because there's a lot of different ones. But I think people need to like dig a little deeper and put in a little
Yeah.
bit more thought of like what they're going to do well with.
And that's a you said something. You said front, middle, and or back of the pack, and maybe the listeners know what that means or they don't know what it means. But in essence, you're talking about temperament. Could you kind of educate the audience kind of what that means, front, middle, and back?
Yeah, a back of the pack. I love those types of dogs. I love like sensitive. I love working with insecure dogs. They're not all insecure, but I do really well. Like my energy does really well with those types of dogs. So when you have a back of the pack dog, they're going to be the dogs who want to alert you to things, but they're not necessarily going to want to like go take care of it. You know, they're going to be like, "Hey, something's happening outside. Like you go deal with it." But then when you have a human who's like, "Oh, something's happening out," or like they're not getting what the dog's trying to communicate, and then they just don't do anything, and now that dog maybe has some issues because they're like, "Well, I guess I have to do it. You know, nobody else is." Um, so yeah, if you're looking for a dog that you like never want to be vocal, like, okay, probably a back of the pack dog is not good for you because it's not something you're gonna like train out of them, you know? A middle of the pack dog, those are the easiest ones. They're just happy
Balance.
about
Yeah.
life. They're
Mhm.
the dogs you put out in the play groups. You really don't have to worry about them generally, you know, happy go lucky. They're gonna be easy for most people. Front of the pack dogs, you don't meet them very often. There's not a lot of them out there, but they're just like confident, stoic, like forward moving. You know, those are really cool dogs when you get to meet them. I've maybe met one in my life and that's it. So it's not super common, but I think what a lot of people struggle with is the back of the pack dogs. They're generally more sensitive. And then you can create a lot of reactivity with dogs like that. And so people just kind of don't know, like, how do I help this dog? You know?
No, I love that. I think it's important for people to kind of see, understand that temperament matters and like predisposition matters because sometimes it changes when the environment changes, but sometimes it doesn't. And right, and it's like it takes a really good dog professional to know like what's being affected by stress, what's not. And then there's also no 100% way of telling what's going to happen over 6 to 8 months. You know what I mean? I've met super insecure puppies that turn into be super cocky, confident dogs. So especially when you're dealing with certain ages of dogs, right? Very cool. So temperament matters as well. What else? Anything else that we got to think about with looking for dogs?
Genetics. I mean, you don't
Mm.
always know the parents of the dogs, but if you can meet them, you should take note of that and see, like, how are the parents? I mean, you're also having to kind of deal with like medical stuff too. It's like, are you equipped to take on medical? I have a lot of dogs in wheelchairs and I take on special needs dogs. And, you know, Freddie, my little chihuahua that I
Oh,
used to have, who was the coolest
yeah.
dog I've ever had in my life. She was this like tiny little chihuahua. She didn't have a bottom jaw. And I had to hand feed her 3 times a day, every day for 5 years. Like, it's like how much.
Such an act of love
Oh,
that
man,
with
that
that
dog was
dog.
so
Oh
cool,
my
though.
God.
I wish I still had her. I would do anything for her. And she was just such a like, she was so just people didn't know if she was a dog or a rat or like what she was. You know, I would bring her out in public and she would just bring joy to so many people. But, you know, that's also another thing is like, okay, am I equipped to take on like medical issues now too? Because if my dog needs a TPLO, like his knee repaired, well, sometimes that does create reactivity, like when the dog is in pain or
Pain.
like now they could feel a little bit more defensive. It's like, okay, look so deeply into what you're trying to bring home and are you ready and equipped for all of that and look into the future of like what this could create. And I know people know as I'm talking about this, I'm like, yes, of course, this is so necessary because I've been doing this for so long. I can give you like patterns of like, this will probably happen. And people kind of go into it being like, I don't know. Like, how do you know this could happen? You know, and I feel like there needs to be more education out there um, about this topic.
There should, and I think that's very much needed because I think um, if you can recognize patterns, that's cool, right? If you can use patterns, that's cool, right? And if you can create patterns of your own as you master the information, like that's someone in your field, like when you were really young, you saw patterns and
Yeah.
you're like, now you start predicting stuff. Now you could use those patterns to prevent things or to manipulate things because you know where it's going to go. In essence, it's like being 2 steps behind. Okay,
Yeah.
being aligned and then eventually learning how to be 2 to 3 steps ahead, right? And I think that information is so so badly needed because I think you know in the rescue world, like right now it's like you're either a transporter or you're helping pull dogs or you're a foster or you're an adopter, like, right? But someone like that, like a counselor, like someone whose temperament is built to see the things that you see.
Yeah.
I can see that being an archetype of a person
Yeah.
who can be trained and who can be super helpful and make a huge difference for dogs.
Yeah, I remember this is like bringing up a memory for me, but I remember there was this family, sweetest family ever. They had 2 kids. They came to me and I had a litter of pit bull puppies, and this is when I first started rescue. And they wanted to adopt a puppy, and they're like, "Oh my God, these 2 are so cute. Let's take 2 of them." And I was like, "Yeah, totally. Like, such a good idea."
No, litter mates.
Oh my God. I just was excited because 2 dogs were getting adopted. Like, I didn't know. I was 22. And so they
Mhm.
took the 2 dogs and they stuck it out for years, but man, they had so many issues with those 2 dogs in the home. They probably would have had issues with just one of the dogs, honestly. But I was like, I saw that happen. I felt so bad. Like, obviously, the dogs were like fighting with each other. They're super reactive. They could never walk them together. Like, there were so many issues. And I was like, I will never do that again. Like, nobody, if you want to adopt 2 puppies, they better be from different litters. Like, I never did it again after that. But that was like one example where I was like, damn, okay, like I had to learn about this, and like
Mhm.
educate myself. So I wasn't making mistakes as a rescue too.
100%.
Yeah. Angela, I'm going to explain a process to you real quick, okay? And I want to get your feedback on it and see if where potentially I can make some changes, okay?
Okay.
So Brent needs to start doing this immediately, like as soon as we hang up this call, okay? So I run a nonprofit, and we call it the Say It Once Rescue League, okay? And our goal is this. The mission is to provide training to rescues for dogs who are at risk of euthanasia or being returned. So all the nonprofit does is it puts on events, it raises funds to pay for training for these specific dogs. We don't take in any dogs, right? And then we also try to do every other week virtual training for foster parents who have a dog that has an issue. Hey, come talk to us, ask us questions, or we have specific things that are there. I want to bring this up because I know there's not going to be many dog trainers listening to this, but there will be some. Okay. Clearly this is a pain point in rescue. Like we know that this is a pain point. Paying for training is a pain point because we don't have money, right? Or rescues don't have money. Providing sources for information is a pain point because as you said, there's too much information, and some of it is really bad, right? Like it is not helpful. And when you were talking about the dog in the back of the pack, like I see 2 separate dog owners getting that. I see the one dog owner who just wants to nurture and love this dog out of the problem, and it never happens, right? And we create the beast that we didn't want to. And then I also see the opposite owner who says, I'm going to just alpha this dog out of it. And that doesn't happen, right? Then you make a dog even more scared. If there were outlets for education, it would be so helpful. But what are some ways that we can provide that to a rescue like yourself? Like, how can I actually help if I have this nonprofit? How could I help you? What is a way that I could?
The biggest thing that I would think is like, okay, I'm thinking like in my adoption bags, you pack the little bag for the dog to go home, it's like put the food in there, put a card in there with a QR code that someone now scans that QR code, and it's like, day 1, what should I do with my dog? Probably if they're capable, you should go and take it for a long walk around your neighborhood before you ever bring it into your home. Just little things like that where it's like, okay, day 2, let me log in. Here's like 3 easy things I can do with my dog today. It's like, maybe we start place work, or maybe we talk about giving our dog space if it's a nervous dog, like something where it's just so simple and someone could log in and be like, week 1, week 2, day 1, whatever, however it's broken down. But it's like, this is all the information you need, and if you need more info, then obviously reach out. But it's like, let me give you something that's like good out there where you just log in. It's simple and you either watch a video or you read something, but it's like, okay, let me like really learn how to do this well. And maybe it's even, you have to watch this video before you take the dog home. But
So, Brent,
What's up?
she just explained what our idea was,
Mm-hmm.
nice.
like to the T, right?
Should
Like,
we make her? Should we include her in the idea?
100%.
I would be honored
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
she's
I'll
down.
put the QR codes in my adoption bag. I will get the word out. Let's do this.
No, even beyond that is it's nice to have input from somebody who has a different lens than myself, right?
Yeah.
Or different lens than Brent.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, like let's be realistic. Like we're super capitalistic business owners also. You know what I mean? Like I wish I could do the work that you do to the extent that you do in my heart, right? But like I have go ahead.
Which,
Sorry.
Brent, when I first met you, I had no idea like you had a facility. I know you talked about it, but then I saw it on social media and I was like, damn, I am so impressed. This place is beautiful. Like, how cool this guy is doing that. And I do not have like a business mind. I'm very much like everything for free, like I just want to help people. But I'm like, I feel like I could learn a lot from you guys just because you have like a different mindset about it. But I was like, wow, this facility is like amazing.
And I think that's the synergy with, we both have the similar hearts. It's just, I need resources in order to help and give and provide and you give time and of yourself and your heart. And like, I've done that before, but I always ended up broke.
Yeah, I think you get really
Like,
tired.
yeah. And if I want to, start a family one day and all this stuff, I gotta, like me and Vinny the other day, we were like, why do we do this? We're like, so we can go to all the soccer games. Like that's why we're doing this, so we can go to all the soccer games. But no, I really appreciate that, Angela. That means a lot. What was I going to say? Why we were capitalists?
well, a little side note, it does bring to mind that, hey, there should be potentially a quiz before I get this dog, right? Because a lot of rescues hand out pamphlets and information, but how many people just go, fuck this, throw this in the trash, give me this dog, I know what I'm doing, I'm taking this dog home.
Yeah.
And 6 weeks later, the dog's back, right? It's like, well, what if there was a little quiz that was like, hey, you have to watch this video, you have to answer these correctly, because I want you to know what's inside of here. I think that is brilliant, right? And then I also think it's brilliant of, where do you live, Angela?
I'm in Riverside County.
Awesome.
California.
Where the fuck's that?
California.
She's like 2 hours away from LA. Yeah.
Okay.
I was going to say my town, but I'm like, he's not going to know what that is.
Yeah. That'd be funny if you said you're like, I'm at 113344.
I was waiting.
Yeah.
I was gonna follow up. And then what's your social security number? But I love that TV show that Caesar used to do, and I cannot believe you were on that, right? Because I think it's great. I think something like that should come back, and I would love to do something like that with Brent, even if it was a YouTube video, Brent. Yeah. It's a great series. It's a phenomenal idea to get rescue dogs involved with education. It should continue. It should still be going on. Somebody's got to do it, but
which I have a show, by the way. It's called the Deserving Dogs Show, and it's like I go out and you'll see how do I catch a stray dog in the street? How do I get a leash on them? Like, how do I match these people up with dogs? It's kind of like my life, and I try and put in like, okay, this is how we vet the dogs and how we go to the vet and how we do things like that. So I'm trying to
cool.
Make it bigger, and it's just so much work,
Dude, where's it at? And how can these people watch?
It's on YouTube. So just look up the Deserving Dogs Show, and we'll get an episode out soon. I know we're a little delayed on that, dude, but I would love to make it be like a bigger show, and I just want to provide education. And it's like, let me just show you my life and how I'm doing things, and maybe people can learn from that,
I cannot wait to go home and watch that. Like, I honestly cannot wait. That is fucking awesome. Angela, more on what does a successful adoption look like for people that first 30 days? What are some things that they should be doing, could be doing, don't want to be doing, or should not be doing? Hit me with it.
I strongly suggest that the first couple days you bring a dog home, number one, you don't feel sorry for any circumstance where it came from. Just let the past go and, take a note of it. Obviously, if the dog has been through a lot of like physical trauma, things like that, maybe you need to be aware of it, but don't nurture it. Don't keep the dog stuck where it is. I think that people kind of want to go into it way too quickly of like petting and cuddling, and it's very overwhelming for new dogs. They do not know you. They don't know why you're
Hmm.
doing that. So I
Hmm.
want to say just kind of giving a lot of space. Like when you bring in a new dog to your home, they're going to be studying you. They're watching you. They're watching your patterns. They're watching how you react to things and your emotions. They're watching all of that. So just you should adopt a dog when you're in a really good place emotionally, not a week after you just lost your best friend, soulmate dog, and you're still feeling emotions and now you want to fill the void with another dog. It's a really unhealthy way of doing it. I don't recommend it. Um, and as far as like training type stuff goes, I feel like you should start, walking your dog and teaching it how to be on a leash if it doesn't know how. And doing a lot of place work at home and using a crate. I know people have some kind of negative feelings about crates, but if you just adopted a dog and you need to go to the grocery store, you should absolutely not be leaving a new dog loose in your home. It's dangerous to the dog. They could eat something. Now you have a huge vet bill, or the dog is in danger of eating something, chocolate or something toxic.
Destroys your window or
Yeah,
something
you
like,
just never know. It's just so much easier. Like you take a dog home, maybe you take a couple days off to be with that dog the first couple days, and you get them relaxed in a crate, relaxed walking on a leash in your neighborhood, and just small things like practice when you're not about to like go out and leave. And that's the first time you're trying something with the dog. But yeah, first 30 days is give your dog space, give your dog exercise, figure out how much exercise and fulfillment it needs, figure out what kind of games it likes, things like that, what kind of toys, how do you interact and have that on and off switch in the games too. And then start doing some place work and teach your dog not to be following you around to every room because that could develop separation anxiety. Or you want to like make sure they have some independence and know the rules of the house and just be very clear with that and be the same. Like have the same rules from day one that you had, you know, 2 weeks from now. Like make sure you already know the rules of the house for the dog when you bring the dog home.
It is so much easier to have more strict rules on day one versus allowing all freedom and then going, "Oh, we fucked this up.
Yeah.
Now we have to start being strict." And the dog goes, "Whoa, why are you changing up on me?
And I
Like,
find
why is all this different?"
a lot of times too, when you bring in, especially a dog who has lived in a kennel, has had absolutely nothing for months of its life, and then you bring it home and try and give it the world, it's actually really overwhelming for those dogs. And so I know you're trying to like, you know, be like, I just want to give my new dog everything and love my dog, but like start slow, give them more freedom as the days go on and they're making really good choices because it's going to be way less stressful for the dog too.
Agreed. Yeah, I mean, that's you hit the nail on the head, and I think the one thing that you touched upon is the crate training aspect, how that can emotionally make us feel upset because, the dog spent a lot of its life in a crate, but it's a necessity. The crate gives its give your g the crate gives your new dog a chance to just turn off,
yeah,
to just take a deep breath and go, right?
yeah,
And you don't wanna overwhelm them with so much freedom to the point that it causes more anxiety. But that concept is difficult for a lot of people to understand. It is weird.
yeah. It's interesting too because I'll talk to clients and they'll be like, "He's been in a crate his whole life. I don't want to put him in a crate." And I'm like, "That's actually the reason you should put him in a crate because he's the most comfortable in a crate because he was there his whole life." So it's like taking a little kid from Africa and then throwing him into New York City and he's going to be freaking out, if he doesn't have a safe space or something familiar. So yeah, I've seen that sentiment, that like logic reversal in people's brain.
I just saw a pretty big rescue make this post, and it was like, we never use crates. If you adopt from us, you're not allowed to use a crate. Don't
Why is
say
that a
crates
flex?
in,
Oh,
in our name, And I was like, wow, this is okay. Number one, they're shaming people for using a crate. There was thousands of comments and people like fighting with each other. And it's like, crates are not a bad thing, like they were making
yeah.
crates. And I was like, this is really damaging to people who want to adopt, who are seeing this post and being like, yeah, okay, crates are bad because they don't know. It's like, man, like there's just rescues out there who are operating like on emotions first. And it's really dangerous to be doing that.
Yep. It's very dangerous.
Yeah.
Very dangerous.
That is the worst piece of advice that I've ever heard.
Yeah. I agree.
It almost seems clickbaity. Like it almost seems like like a troll.
I thought it was, and
you
it
know
was
what I mean?
real. And they had multiple
Oh,
posts about like, this is why we don't use them, and whole explanations. And I'm like, this does not even make
did they
sense
use
to
the
me.
word the science? Did they use the word the science?
All bad.
Oh man, it's nuts. It's nuts. Well, I want to talk a little bit about something that I think can help dogs, right? And I want to do this to kind of maybe change the perspective of some of the listeners, or to just like broaden perspective, because I find myself in dog training as dog trainers, when it comes to like routine and enrichment and exercise, like anytime we're giving advice on how do we make better mental health in the dog, right? We kind of find ourselves as professionals giving advice to people to pretty much do what a dog would naturally do when they lived outside, right? Like take your dog for enrichment walks, and like let your dog be outside more, and like let your dog sleep more, and like let your dog chew on stuff more, right? But through the dog industry's development, it's people will be like, your dog can't chew on sticks because he's gonna kill himself, right? Your dog can't chew on bones because he's gonna break his teeth. Your dog can't do X, Y, and Z because they're gonna hurt themselves. Because at some point throughout history, dogs have hurt themselves doing those things, right? But the dog's biological needs to do those things hasn't changed, right? To chase a squirrel, to fence fight, to lay in the sun, to dig a hole and sit in it. Like all of those things haven't changed. So I really find it hilarious as a dog trainer. It's like we're actually just we just have to give people permission and strategies to safely do the stuff that dogs naturally did 50 years ago when they lived outside. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I say all that because when it comes to the mentality of dog owners, right? There are some mentalities that I think there's like 5 different mentalities that exist right now, right? Like different cultures and different generations. So like for me, there's kind of like 5 different distinct ways that people own dogs. Like one is a property dog. Like this is a dog who spends a majority of their time outside on the property, right? Could be a ranch dog. Some people call it a ranch dog. Sometimes it's a guard dog, but there's a dog who lives a happy double-digit life outside for the most part, right? Then there's a dog who's like an inside-outside dog, right? And they're half inside, half outside. But that dog has to be potty trained and has basic manners, right? Then we have a third degree of dog. We have the inside house pet, right? The dog who is 90% inside, only in controlled settings outside, right? Then we have like the companion dog who is like trained to do stuff, like trained to walk on a leash, trained to be socialized, trained to have good manners. Now, what's so funny is everything just adds to itself, right? It's not this or that, it's this, and we add this other layer of criteria. And then at the highest level, we have like working dogs, service dogs, all these other things, right? All of those dogs exist at the exact same time. However, what I see is that people, especially through the rescue community, have kind of demonized this idea of property dog and this idea of inside outside dog a little bit, not as much, but a little bit. And I'm of the mindset that if we allowed all 5 criteria to exist, there would be a lot more dogs. Like I had a big dog, big mama. She's a Tibetan Mastiff. She had a dog run, and I had to put her in the dog run when people came over. She tried to eat them. You know what I mean? But that's my guard dog. You get what I'm saying? And that's my property dog. She would roam the property and keep coyotes and everything away. But when I knew someone was coming over, I'd put her away, right? I guess, do you have any thoughts on, did that trigger anything in your head? Like, what are your thoughts on that? Do you agree? Do you disagree?
I just think
It's okay to disagree with him too.
And you could totally fight me.
No,
Yeah, I love that.
what comes to mind, I was like, man, everybody, like we live in such a sensitive world now. Like everyone is so sensitive. There's so much negativity, like quick to be like, I don't like that, and it's like, whoa, everyone just like calm down, chill. Like we can all think differently about our dogs, and then there's I don't go around anymore being like, I'm vegan, because like people, I feel like when you say that, you're like, kind of crazy, where it's like these people go online, they're like, a horse can never pull anything, or a dog can never have any kind of job, even if it's a working dog. Like, and I almost feel like it's a different level when you say you're vegan. You have to be like really intense about animal rights, which is not true. Like, you can just like not eat animals. But it's like, I don't know. People just get so intense about what they believe in. But I want to be like, have you ever owned a 1-year-old Malinois? Like, and you don't want it to run next to a bicycle, like something like that. It's like these people who have such strong opinions, they've never had a really high energy or working dog or something like that. And they
Yeah,
don't
they've never
know,
been
like,
there.
it's
Yeah.
going to be really unhappy if you're just trying to make that dog a house pet, like you're now doing a disservice to the dog. So I don't know. I think everyone needs to kind of like chill out a little bit and not be so sensitive, because the way of the world right now is just like, I know there's like a lot going on in the world. Don't get me wrong, but it's just like, man, everyone's like so sensitive, and they shouldn't be.
Facts. No, facts. And I think it all comes from a good place, right? Like we all care about the dog, right? But as we see in especially rescue, it's like I think guilt
Yeah.
and fear are like really toxic things when trying to help rehabilitate a dog or trying to
Yeah.
help give a dog a new life or a new future, right? Um so yes, and obviously this idea of, property dogs need to be okay again. Like we're not saying, I want to be really clear, like with certain things, there become different problems, right? Like we got to reinforce property lines. We got to make gates higher. But there's been so many clients throughout the years that have been like, I think I have to get rid of my dog. And I'm just like, well, what happened? And they'll be like, well, I had a baby. Baby's 2 now. He's running around. I have a border collie, and we're not paying attention to them, right? And I'm just like, okay, well, instead of getting rid of the dog that you've had for 7 years, how about we build a dog run in the backyard? They go, oh no, like, isn't that mean? And I'm like, or he goes to the shelter and die. Which one's mean? Which one's meaner? And I say, and you only have to put the dog away if the kid's riled up. You know what I mean? Like, but this is at least the easiest, simplest way, because they'll always call us as the dog trainer, like, how do I stop my dog from chasing my running child? He's like, well, you could put obedience on him. That's true. But you're not always going to be on top of your kid or on top of your dog, right? So many dogs, like I remember around like year 12 of being a dog trainer, I had a lot of puppies that I trained that were passing. And then I had a lot of people calling who were like now of parental age who are having kids. And these dogs, they were either had a nice den in the garage or they had a nice dog run. And what's so funny is all of them claim the same thing. They're just like, it was rough for like a week, but then the dog kind of just liked being out there and like really enjoyed their doghouse and really enjoyed having a thing. And then they're still able to come into the house and spend time with us, and we're able to love on them. But it's just getting through that little block in their brain of like, no, the dog has to live inside like a human, right? And I don't know, like, I guess, what are your thoughts on that? Like, I think that could save a lot of dogs' lives, personally.
Yeah, I think a lot of people kind of think like, oh, the shelter's a great option. Well, maybe not everyone thinks this way anymore because shelters are not great. I think people just think like, oh, just find them a new home. It's like that creates so much stress on a dog that you've had for so long, and now all of a sudden you're just going to move them. Like, I think they would be a lot happier to have maybe a little less time of you, but still be in the same environment. I get reached out a lot by, I have this dog, it's bitten so many people, can you take the dog? And it's like, I'm going to take it and then do what with it? Because it's not like I have people lined up being like, I want to adopt a dog that bites. Like, which one do you have for me? It's like, also, I don't feel good about putting a dog like that out into the world. Dogs like
into
that
the unknown
generally will just have to stay with me. So I know that that dog is not going to create, like hurt anyone out in public. But um, yeah, if you have like a dog with behavior, like, the dog bites when people come into your home or something, use a crate, don't try and rehome that dog, because one, it's going to be stressful for the dog. And two, like, you can try other resources first and not feel bad about it. And maybe that works really well for you. But it's hard enough right now to find easy dogs homes. Like, that's how hard rescue is right now, is I have all these easy dogs at my house. who could go into homes with a lot of different people and be successful. And I'm having trouble finding those dogs homes.
Yeah, that's tough. What is one of the biggest, like, what's the biggest reason? What do you think is the biggest bottleneck?
There's so many dogs available right now. Also, I will hear a lot of people being like, I don't want to go through rescue anymore because rescue's making it so hard for people to adopt dogs. You have to have like all these things, fill out a 10-page app and do this and that and like jump through these hoops just to get one of our dogs. And it's like rescue also shouldn't be that way. Yes, we should be very careful who we're giving dogs to, but I don't know. I think a lot of people are being steered away from rescue right now, unfortunately. Like going to a breeder is easier in their mind.
I agree, right? Because once again, there's all these lines that we have to walk of we definitely need to vet these people, right? They also don't need to be the president of the United States in order to get the dog. And sometimes it's like, dude, these are a lot of requirements to get a dog who you can clearly give a good life to,
Yeah.
right? Like the amount of times I had clients reach out uh, to me and say, "Hey, I got denied because I said that I would use your training, by the way, when I get the dog," and they won't ever allow the dog to have a slip lead on or a prong collar on or something like that. I'm like, dude, this this dog needs a home,
Yeah.
right? Like you're really going to deny that person because of that is insanity. Like he's better off in the shelter instead of going on a walk with a prong collar on of someone who's paying somebody. Like they're probably going to give this dog the best possible life. But this brings me to two questions, Angela. Okay. We talked about this at the beginning of how can we potentially ease the burden of too many dogs not getting a home, right? And I have two ideas about this. Okay, and they are crazy ideas. Okay, number one, I think it should be. I think I don't think shelters or rescues, if they bring in a pregnant dog, should allow that dog's pregnancy to come full term. And I know that's a spicy one,
I'm
right?
so glad you're talking about this because I don't talk about it. I should. But like I just recently I helped there was a let me get my words right. I'm like, yes, please, thank you for talking about this. I just recently helped at a house out in Fontana where it was a big hoarding situation. Animal control wouldn't even come and help me. There was all these animals and I didn't even have room at my house to take them and I did. I was like, "You know what? This is a shitty situation for all of them. Nobody is helping. Let me pack all these animals up and bring them home." None of them were spayed and neutered. So I started spaying all the females first. And if they were pregnant, they got a spay abort. I'm like, we do not need any more. One of them was a Chihuahua, and the dad had to have been one of the pit bulls that I took. And I was like, we don't need any more pit bulls and Chihuahua mixes out in this world. It's like, please, yes, don't get the pregnant moms and then let them have the babies. Like, spay them. We don't need more puppies, And I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah, it's a super conflicting issue even in my life because I have views on humans and then I have a different view on dogs, but there are so many dogs that are being euthanized that I just can't mathematically make sense of this problem.
Yeah,
So
because
I go,
they're like 5 to 10 in a litter.
Yeah.
I mean
yeah,
that's
and those dogs will all get a home like immediately. So that's 10 adult dogs that are getting put down. So, in my brain, I go, well, one, I think we should be, and this also sucks because I'm not the one who's going to do this next thing, right? So it's easy for me to sit in a chair and go, yeah, this makes sense. But dogs who have a bite history that are sitting at a shelter for 3 years that are taking up a kennel, I can't make sense of it. It doesn't make sense to me. But I'm also not the one having to go into the back room with the dog. So it's easy for me to say that. And I totally understand that, but it doesn't make sense to me. The second one is the puppies. Doesn't make sense to me. And then a third one, there does need to be some push on, and once again, this goes against everything that I believe in, but there does need to be some sort of regulation put into breeding at some point. Like it's a problem. We had a conversation, Angela, a couple weeks ago. Brent and I did. The spay and neuter 6-month mark did not help. it actually hurt dogs in the long run because it didn't help
Behaviorally.
that specific dog. Um, and clearly we're still at the same end that we didn't want to be at in the first place. But there has to be regulations put in place because it is a disaster.
Yeah. They're in LA, the shelters are giving out like breeding permits so people can breed their dogs. And a ton of homeless people are getting them, a ton of people on Skid Row, which is just like a really bad area in LA. And there's like a ton of homeless people that have crates all lined up on the sidewalks and they're breeding dogs and then selling them within, their communities. And then those dogs go out and they're not spayed and neutered. And then it's happening to those it's like this never ending cycle. And the dogs are living in like really horrific ways. And it's like, okay, LA, how is this okay? Like it's actually a really thing, like a something that is people are trying to get more eyes on right now. It's like, what is the mayor of LA doing? Or like,
That's a whole other topic.
yeah, like
Home.
not to get political, but it's like, man, what are you guys allowing? How is this okay in your mind? Like, you guys
Yeah.
have over 400 dogs at the shelter and they're living in crates in your hallways because you don't have enough kennels for them. And they're going nuts. Like, you look at those crates and they're all chewed apart and like zip tied. And it's like, oh my God, like it's just, it's bad right now.
And we currently don't, in Los Angeles, we currently don't have a general manager for LA Animal Services. We only have like an interim, like, because no one wants the job.
They come and go.
No one,
yeah.
No one wants the job, and it's
bad.
It's like, hey, you want this job where you got to clean up this big fucking mess, and it's tough.
Yeah.
It's really tough.
That's my next thing. Actually, next week I'm driving out to Arizona and I'm getting a big shuttle donated to me to our rescue.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
And my boyfriend is a contractor, so he's going to take everything out of it. And then I was a vet tech for 15 years. So what we're doing is we're going to design it into a spay neuter mobile. And then,
whoa.
I have a vet who's already on board who's can provide obviously pay him, raise the money for all the drugs and everything needed. It'll be like a really big thing. But once we get it up and running, it'll be free spay neuter to people and we'll go around to areas who need it and we'll try and do as many as we can. But I think vet care is just so out of reach for a lot of people right now. And that's another reason why animals aren't getting spayed and neutered, because it is insanely expensive just to do it. So I think that's kind of one of the big issues too, is like, let's just provide this for free to whoever will sign up.
That's so awesome and bold.
Dude.
Yeah. Again, you put your money where your mouth is, bro. And like, mad respect to people who, everyone and their mom has ideas. You go out and you execute. And that's, everyone should respect people who are in the arena getting it done. And like, it's hard.
Yeah, thank you. It's rough.
Hard.
I just had a lady who she's met me a couple times at a shelter, and she made this I just tried to help a stray dog. There was a stray dog in my area, and it was a Frenchie. A bunch of people were like, "That's my dog," and I'm like, "You guys are all liars. It's not your dog." So I hit up the people, and I was like, "Hey, I'm a rescue. I could take this dog for you and help reunite it with the owner." Which I did. Within 12 hours, found the owner, reunited it. It was the actual owner. And this lady goes and she makes this post about me being like, a red flag, shady rescue, she's a cherry picker. And for 3 days, this person harassed me on Facebook.
The person you helped?
No, this lady, she was on the Lost and Found page. Apparently she wanted credit. She was like, she didn't even reunite the dog. It was this big long thing, which I'm going to make a post about it. But I was like, damn, this lady for 3 days, would not leave me alone. It's you put so much heart and soul into this and you just want to help people. And then you have situations like that happen. It's damn, I need a break now. It makes me not want to help people. But I don't know. I think if you see someone out there who's actually doing good work and they're not doing it for the views or the money or whatever, it's they're just out there helping. Don't be mean to them, be nice to them. All of my energy goes towards this every single day, And so if I get anything online, I'm pretty good about ignoring it, but this lady would not stop. And I'm like, damn, it bummed me out for a couple days too. I was like, man, that sucks. So yes. Yeah.
Block.
Yeah.
Immediate.
Yeah. She blocked me. So then I couldn't, it was this whole thing. And I'm like, oh, this bitch.
She beat you to it.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have this. There's only a handful of people that I met in rescue. One of them is actually a good friend of mine. She helps take care of my property. But there's like, if there was a special forces unit in rescue, like it would be like you and like 3 other people that I know, like the equivalent of like SEAL Team 6 in rescue, like, because you guys are the type of people that will like hike down a mountain in like the middle of the night and
Yeah.
like have a torch that you made with a lighter so you could see. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm not, that's like, it sounds ridiculous, but I know people like you do this stuff. You've crawled through sewer drains to
Yeah.
like find, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I'm
like,
not
let
making
me
it
tell
up.
you some stories.
So like so much respect. It's so badass and so fucking cool. Like I love it. Like I feel like a wimp.
It is
It's
like
really cool.
actually really fun. Like you put all of the bad things you see on a daily basis aside, and
Uh-huh.
I like rescue is so fun to me. There was one time where I had this dog and he was really flighty. He was found on a chain with like 30 other dogs and someone was breeding them. So it's just like a really bad situation where he came from. And I hiked out. I saw a TikTok video about these dogs and I was like, wait, this is near me. I'm going to go find it. So I went out hiking and I brought like this huge Rottweiler with me because I was by
Like
myself.
Pokemon Go.
Yeah. And I went and I found the dogs. I found all 30 of them. I called animal control. Animal control showed up the next day and started seizing them all. Like it was like this whole thing. It was
That's
cool.
crazy.
And then I started taking some of the dogs out of the shelter because they had to go like through a whole, court thing and everything. So I took one of them. I had him for 5 months, rehabbed him because he was so flighty. He got a home. The person went and took him on a hike, and a mountain biker came down the hill and hit her, like collided with her. She dropped the dog's leash. Her head was bleeding. The guy got off the bike and went to grab the dog, and the dog took off. And so
Whoa.
that was a dog that I knew very well. And so I went out with my pack of dogs that he knew for 28 days every day. I hiked and waited for sightings to happen. And then finally we got the dog to where I was in the same place as the dog. And it took probably 2 hours. But I had Buggy, this little pug, he's in a wheelchair. And they used to really like each other. And so I had to take Buggy out of his wheelchair because the terrain was all uneven. And I just let Buggy go. And I was like, do your thing, buddy. And he went all the way over to where that dog was. And the dog was so skinny at the time because he was gone for 30 days. Immediately his tail went up and he started wagging his tail and playing with Buggy, and he remembered him, and I called Buggy over to me, and I had food and like a snare and stuff, so I was able to, leash the dog up and finally get him on leash. And then he remembered me, and I was like, oh my God, like the whole
Dude.
situation was just so cool. But I was like, yeah, 28 days every day of hiking. Yeah, sure. I was like, damn, that, I don't know. I just get like a little
Dude.
bit like crazy about it in like the best way, but I'm like, I'm going to
Yeah.
find that dog. And so many people were like, stop what you're doing. Let the professionals do it. And I was like, I
You're
know
like,
this
I
dog
am.
the most out of I know,
Yeah.
like, just get me in the same place with that dog and I'm going to know what to do, and
But that's what I'm saying is like that's like there's a soldier and then there's special units. You know what I mean? Like there's the professionals, the people who get paid by the city and the county to
Right.
do it. But then there's fucking Angela Adan. So it's just cool. Like I can see like a whole, my brain goes into like, how can we make more of this? Like how can we inspire people that this is a thing that you can do? Like that's what always gets me
It
excited.
is fun.
Yeah, that's fucking cool. Yeah. So you mentioned how you're going to get a van and you're going to turn it into a mobile spay and neuter clinic. I remember when I was coming up in rescue, my mentor, who also did a lot in rescue back in the 90s, and he helped develop this mobile pet adoptions for LA City, and ran a rescue called the New Leash on Life. And one of the things that he was telling me was, the initiatives that were starting were, the spay and neuter initiatives, the don't shop initiatives. And then he was always telling me, he goes, the biggest thing missing is quality education, right? And one of my missions as a dog trainer, whoever I have a chance to educate, I want to make them competent enough to not only be able to raise their dog, but to eventually and potentially take on a second dog or a third dog, right? And just kind of like culturally, some people have like one kid and they're done. There was a time that people had 3 to 4 dogs in their house, if they have a house or a property, right? So I'm a big fan of trying to bring back this idea of the multi-dog household. and make sure people feel competent and that they have support to be able to do something like that. What do you think is missing as far as initiatives go in the rescue world that could really help make a difference?
I don't know if this is going to answer your question, but this is the first thing that's coming to mind is that I think as rescuers, we take on too much and then we're spread really thin. And then it's like, okay, I want to provide all of these things, but I can't because now I have so many dogs or, so many adopters. I don't know. I think that just having boundaries in rescue is very important and having a team of people if you need it, or just knowing like, okay, if I'm a rescue and I don't have a facility and I'm going to take on this really challenging dog and I don't have anywhere for it to end up, well, now I'm paying for boarding. I'm paying all of this money for this one dog. It's kind of an issue, you know? And then, yeah, just like giving people education after the dog gets there and being able to have the time to like follow up and be like, how'd your first day go? Like, let's figure out these issues before they
Support.
happen, and not wait until like next year when you get the call about like, I need to return my dog. It's like kind of being proactive and getting ahead of an issue if it's going to happen.
So having like the ability to like not only vet, but also not also vet the right match, make sure the match works, but also have support when
As
the
soon as they
initial
need
adoption happens.
it. Not
Yeah,
like weeks after where, he's been lunging at cars for 2 weeks now, and it's like, "Okay, well, you probably should have called me the first time it happened and let me help
hmm
you through that?" But yeah, just having someone who can kinda help people through, like, "This issue has arise. What do I do?" You know?
yeah, yeah. And I think there's a trap, not a trap, but I think there's something between rescuer and dog trainer. Because I think, like whatever that thing between is, like again, counselor, someone who like sees how the pieces work together, and we need more of those.
Yeah.
We need people who can support adoptions, adoption counselors, like whatever we want to call them, but like people who can really like has a list of 15 leads that they follow up with, and they make sure that they're kind of like a support line,
I'm
but
like, "You guys
like
should
an
have a whole little chat on the thing you guys are trying to develop," and it's like, "This is what's
yeah,
going on?" And
Yeah, I think that there is a space for successful dog trainers to start saying, you know what, a portion of my time, money, etc., does need to go to this, Brent. And I think that, um, and just because I started doing it doesn't mean that I'm doing enough. So I'm not sitting here from a hill going, oh, I could. No, dude, there's totally more that I can that I should be doing. And Brent, I think you know, you lead by example. I think we need to do that, and we will. That is gonna be a mission that we do in March, and we're gonna fucking make it happen, brother. That's the end of it.
Angela, you're coming.
yeah,
You're
nice.
gonna
Yeah,
visit us.
perfect.
Can you visit us in March,
Yeah.
please? Sweet.
When I was like, I think I was like 24, 25. I had just like I was feeling more confident as like an actual trainer, and I get these crazy ideas, and I'm like, I'm just gonna try it out and do it. But I was like, I'm gonna do this tour. It's called Girl on a Mission. I don't know who's gonna sign up, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go. I drove through 22 different states.
Whoa.
Yeah, by myself with one of my dogs, and I offered free training to anyone who would sign up for it. So I worked with like individual people, or I stopped by dog shelters and I would train like the dog walkers or like the volunteers there, and we would do classes and stuff. There was one stop in Oklahoma where I was on the news for it. Like 100 people showed up, and I just was like,
Dude,
whoever will show up to these things. And I did it 2 years in a row. And like BarkBox
dude.
picked up the story, and it got huge. And I was like, this is so needed, and like so like everyone was like hungry for the information, and it was
Yeah.
so fun. But I was like, yeah, I'm had barely left California ever, and I'm like, I'm gonna
Oh,
drive through all the
dude,
states. I went to New York
one
and
of
back.
that again, love you more now because and don't take this the wrong way. One of my favorite movies is Forrest Gump. Okay. And Forrest just started
Yeah.
running. And at the end of it, he had hundreds of people running behind him. And that's Forrest Gump right
Yeah.
there, dude. Like, freaking so cool. So cool. I fucking love that. That's so awesome. How does that make you feel? Like, how does that feel? Like, Like, you're just doing it
It's
and
just funny
you're
because until
inspiring.
I talk about it, I'm like, oh yeah, I did all these things, and I'm just like, I don't really talk about it very often, but I'm like, man, that was like really cool. And I didn't think anyone was going to show up to any of my events, but I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to try. And like, it was huge. And I was like staying at families' houses, like people I had never met. And I'm like, okay, that probably wasn't like the safest thing,
The
but
safest,
but
yeah.
like so many people, they were so nice. I'm still friends with a lot of the people today. And it just everyone was just like so appreciative of the information. It was so needed.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Wow. The amount of like it takes courage. It takes courage to do that. I think we should just do a whole episode just on you sharing stories. That'd be
You could write a
cool.
book.
You totally could. You could write you could have a Netflix series
Yeah.
of like just like react what's it called, reenactments of what you've done.
There should literally be a show on everything that was talked about today. It would be so helpful if more people just understood half of the shit that was mentioned. I Angela, I'm blown away. Like I said, I came to this not knowing you at all. Granted, I followed you, a week ago, and I got to see some of your posts, but that doesn't mean shit, right? I am so thankful to have been here and to listen to what you put out because it was great information and it was super beyond the fact of the informative stuff. It was really intriguing to learn more about you and what you do, and I know that we only scratched the surface of that. But I'm thrilled to have been here for today. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you. I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, very
Absolutely.
much. I guess let's wrap it up. Let's finish on. I guess if you're talking to dog owners, what is some advice? We kind of went over it, but let's kind of summarize it real quick. Of I'm looking for a dog. Give it to me. Like, what are some things? How should I be thinking about this?
What is your energy level right now? So choose wisely. Don't choose a dog who is higher energy than you. It's going to be a very challenging relationship for you. What are some activities that you already like to do? Does that dog already like to do them? Now you can do them together. It's a really good thing. Like if you like to hike and the dog's already hiking with fosters, okay, it might be a good match. What kind of medical stuff can I afford to take on? And potentially what kind of behavioral issues could come with that? But just really getting like a deeper look of what it is that you truly want. Not like, I feel bad for this dog and I'm going to adopt it. It's like, don't do that. Choose what do you really want to find in a dog? Because I guarantee it's out there. There are so many to choose from.
Yeah, 100%. And then let's say one last question: if someone is currently having trouble with a dog, and they're thinking about sending them to the shelter or trying to find them another home, what advice or perspectives do you think you could give that client?
Like, have you tried everything and put in the work? I think that that's really important. A lot of people that I've come across don't put in a lot of the work, unfortunately. I mean, I'm seeing the more negative side of it because I'm in rescue and people are reaching out to me for help. So it's like at least put in the work, for the sake of your dog. And if you have tried everything, then don't be so hard on yourself. Maybe it's just not the right match. You don't have to shame yourself. And just help to find that dog either to get into the right rescue, or, try not to choose the shelter. Like, try and not go that route if you can. Reach out to every rescue and try and do that first.
Angela, once again, thank you for being here today. Thank you for enlightening us with all the information and the cool facts about your life, right? But where can people find you? I know you mentioned the Deserving Dog on YouTube, but can you hit us with all the links, all the details, all the information?
Yeah, YouTube, The Deserving Dog Show. Instagram, I'm Deserving Dogs, and Deserving Paws is the name of my rescue. Those are probably the best places to find me is Instagram and YouTube.
And what's the best way people can help support Deserving Paws, your nonprofit?
Donations. I feel like I'm on social media every day begging for money. It's very exhausting for me. I hate doing it. The more donations that we can get, the more I can expand these projects like the spay and neuter. It is not free. Most of it comes out of my own paycheck with something else I'm doing. And so it's just a lot of money to do rescue and to take on what I take on. So money is very helpful.
And you have a website. What's the best way for people to donate to you?
I don't have a website yet. Need one. So if anyone wants to build a website, that would be amazing.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's not monetary.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's services that nonprofits
Yeah,
need.
even if people have like special skills, it's like, I know how to do this, reach out, and people can probably use those skills. But yeah, Zelle is really the easiest. It's admin@deservingpaws.org. We get 100% of the donations there. They go straight into the account, and then we can start using them for mainly dogs medical right now. So
yeah, we're gonna put a link to that that donation link in the podcast description. So definitely, if those of you guys listening, if you guys can support Angela and her projects, that'd be really awesome. I am looking forward to hanging out with both of you in March. That'll be, if you can make it, Angela. I know you're really
I'll be
busy.
there.
All right, perfect. I'd love to hang out with you guys because I think we could put our brains together and do something really cool.
Yeah.
All right. Guys, my name is Brent Labrada, and that's Vinnie Soma, and we want to thank our special guest, Angela Adan, for jumping on the Dog Owners Podcast, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.